The day of unity is quickly approaching in the Owl House. I suspect that it is going to be here much sooner than I think a lot of us anticipate. Possibly it might even come about as soon as the midpoint of Season 2 of the show. Characters in the show have been discussing it quite frequently, much more frequently than in Season 1. In Season 1 it seems like an abstraction, in Season 2 it seems like an inevitability. I do not think the show would have its characters talk about it so much more if the day was not approaching. It also helps that we know a lot more about Belos' plans than we once did. Now, of course, we don't know everything, and I certainly hope that we get to know a lot more about Belos himself and his motivations for making the choices that he has. I certainly would like his motivations to be more than just, oh, I'm doing it for evil purposes. Nonetheless, we still have a clear idea of the basics. Belos, after taking over the realm, implemented the Coven system to create his sense of order in the Boiling Isles. There is an obvious benefit to the Coven system for those like Belos who wish to preside over rigid structures, that being that those who join a Coven are given a brand, not like a McDonald's, Burger King kind of brand, like a brand in your skin, and once they have that brand, they can only perform one kind of magic, the magic of the Coven they have sworn their allegiance to. However, as we see in the episode Ida's Requiem, the Coven system also has another benefit, which is that the little Coven brands can be used to control anyone who has been unfortunate enough to have those brands in their skin. We saw this in the case of Raine, who meets a quite abysmal fate at the end of Ida's Requiem. Belos, we see, needs all of the Coven heads in order to implement his magic spell at the end of the Day of Unity. The characters that we see do not really know why he is planning to do this, but we, the viewers, have gotten enough insight into Belos that we ourselves know the truth, which is that he is planning to unite the magical realm, the Boiling Isles, with the human realm. To take it a step further, why does Belos want to do this? It's not clear at this point. I certainly hope, again, that his motivations are more than just being selfish and manipulative. I hope that they are specific, and I hope that they are personal. I hope that by studying Belos' motivations, we gain a greater understanding of Belos himself. Also, while I think it is pretty obvious at this point that if Belos succeeds, our heroes would not benefit, I think it's also true that if Belos succeeds, the Coven heads would not necessarily benefit either, even if they pledge their loyalty to Belos. Belos clearly needs the heads of the Covens. If he didn't, Kikimora wouldn't have done what she did to Raine. Kikimora would have just petrified Raine like Raine was thinking instead of taking control of them. Why does he need these different Coven heads? Why does he need to combine their different forms of magic? How does that benefit him in his mission to reach the human world and eventually cleave the worlds together? None of this is clear at this juncture, though I assume that it will be made clear as the show progresses. The Coven leaders, aside from Raine, are presumably loyal to Belos, so why would he need to control them with his brands? The most optimistic option, if you are a Coven leader, is that it is just a failsafe. There is always the possibility that a Coven head will go rogue, like we saw with Raine. So if that happens, Belos wants to be able to control the Coven heads. But there is also another, more sordid option. There is the possibility that Belos will subject all the other Coven leaders to the same fate that befell Raine, regardless of whether these Coven leaders were loyal to Belos. He might need to gain direct control over them in order to access their different magical abilities in order to open a path to the human realm like he wants to. Now, if this is the case, if I am right about this, I cannot foresee the long-term effects of this on the Coven leaders being positive in any meaningful way. There is the chance that Belos will sacrifice the Coven leaders, that all their dedication to him will just result in their death. And even if that is not the case, I highly doubt that they will be as powerful after the Day of Unity. I think that Belos might leave them depowered, maybe performing whatever rituals are necessary in order to reach the Day of Unity and enact the merger of the worlds, will zap the different Coven heads of their powers, so they will thus be left in the same position as Ida. The difference being that Ida, without her magic, is still formidable. She's still a passionate force of personality. She has so much energy and enthusiasm and drive. She still has people she cares about and who care about her. She's still cunning and creative. Who are all these Coven leaders without their magical powers? I'm not sure if the show will take that option, but it might, and whatever option the show does take, I imagine that we will see it relatively soon. Remember, the show only has a limited amount of time remaining. As of the time in which I'm writing this, there will be only 3 more episodes in the whole of Season 2A, and that leaves just the 11 in Season 2B, and the 3 double-length episodes in Season 3, and then that's it. The 3 double-length episodes will have to wrap up the entirety of the show, which is quite a formidable challenge. Now, that does not preclude the possibility that the show might receive more attention, and thus a movie or an extra season tacked on to continue the adventures established in the show proper, a la Steven Universe Future, but Steven Universe Future was not just a continuation of the previous seasons of Steven Universe. It was its own separate story that took place after the end of Steven Universe. If the Owl House does continue past the end of Season 3, I imagine it will do so in a similar format. We might get more stories of Ida and Luce, but they will take place after the end of our main plot, and I assume the defeat of... I almost called him Bezos again. Emperor Belos. So, let's not hyperventilate here. The show still has a significant amount of time. It doesn't need to rush by any means. It still has time to give these different characters and their journeys with themselves and with others and with their doubts and fears and anxieties the time those journeys deserve to really elucidate what these characters are going through and who they really are and who they are becoming. So the show doesn't need to rush there, but it does need to not linger. It needs to keep up a decent pace. And I assume that keeping up a decent pace would mean revealing a lot more about Belos and the Day of Unity within the next couple episodes. We've gotten a lot of little tidbits, but we haven't gotten a lot of firm information about who Belos actually is and what he is trying to achieve. The Coven heads are going to fit into Belos' plans in an interesting way. The show would not have spent so much time dwelling on these Coven heads after hardly dealing with them at all in Season 1 if they were not going to feature significantly into Belos' plans. We've already seen little hints of them working with Belos, but I think the whole Day of Unity situation will be much more than they bargained for, and they will try to escape. They will realize the mistakes they have made, but by then it will be too late. Whatever Belos' plans, they will involve Hunter, and they will involve the Coven heads. As to what exactly these plans entail and who exactly Belos is, I suppose we'll just have to wait and find out. But in a way, I do feel bad for the Coven heads. They did associate themselves with a cruel emperor, but they're not cold-hearted people. They seem at worst to be petty. They're just trying to advance themselves, and in doing so, they inadvertently trap themselves in a scenario in which they cannot escape the cold wrath of Belos. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching The Owl House. It's a really interesting and mysterious show, and there are so many options the show can take going forward. So many secrets it could reveal, so many character turns it could dramatize. Season 2 has really opened up this world and shown it to be so much faster than what we saw in just Season 1. It's a shame the show will have to wrap up that quickly, but I hope the show is able to bring itself to a satisfying, or at least a thoughtful, conclusion. I really did think we would know more about Belos at this point. I assume we will know more about him going forward. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. That I can promise y'all. Thank y'all again. Adios, comrades.